I convene the October 18th, 2023 regular board meeting to order at 7 p.m. Jackie, please call the roll.
Marjorie Bartelli, absent. Emily Swistek.
Here.
Karen Larson.
Here.
Liz Sullivan.
Here.
Debbie Bryan.
Here.
Vanessa Berry.
Here.
Joshua Martin.
Here.
Thank you. Agenda item 2 is opportunity for visitors to speak. Public comment is for the general public to address the board. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to provide public comment. Would you like to go ahead?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Catherine Texa. I'm a resident of Lisle for over 20 years and a user of the services of the Lisle Library for all those years. Let me begin my comments tonight by thanking the District Board for its oversight of the services to the library and to the Lisle community. My purpose in providing public comment is to ask the members of the Lisle Library District Board to support the relaunch of the Friends of the Lisle Public Library District. Please allow me just a moment while I give you a bit of a background on how I came to be involved in a possible relaunch of the Friends. Over the many years that my now deceased husband and I attended the annual used book sales of the Friends of the Library, we joined at each used book sale as members of the Friends. You could join the Friends at each book sale to get a preview of used books, get a discount at the sale, and receive a printed membership card. Having my master's degree in nonprofit management and having chaired the American Association of University Women's used book sale for my local AAUW branch to award college scholarships, I thought this nominal fee membership sign-up was a clever way to get members for an organization. In hindsight, perhaps it was a clever by half membership drive, because members were not asked to participate in the organization in any other way. You were in fact an on-the-books only member. It appears that the Friends was a board-controlled nonprofit, and it appears that it functioned just fine that way over the years until the unfortunate death of the long-standing board president, Doug Cunningham, in March 2022. Well, I've spent way too many dollars over the years at the Lisle Library used book sales and at the Friends bookshelf, located formerly in a reading nook at the library, and now at a library shelf in the renovated library that has a donation box instead of bringing cash donations to the circulation desk. A few months ago, I was putting cash in the donation box, and I noticed that the box was pretty full. I mentioned it to a library employee with a desk close to the Friends shelf. A month or so later, again putting cash in the donation box, I saw that the box was now actually stuffed with cash. I looked up the Friends of the Library on the library website and saw that it indicated that the head librarian, Tatiana Weinstein, as the contact for the Friends. I called and I spoke at length with Will Savage, the assistant librarian, about my concern about so much cash being in the Friends donation box. Will reminded me that the Friends is independent of the Lisle Library. He said he would discuss my concern with Tatiana. At that point, I wasn't giving the Friends a second thought. Now, because of my career interest in nonprofit management and my gratitude for the neighborhood congeniality of Lisle Library, I often watch several Lisle board meetings on YouTube. I was rather surprised while watching a recent Lisle District board meeting to hear Tatiana's staff report include a lengthy overview of the Friends' involvement with the Lisle Library and her concerns that the interaction between the two independent organizations had deteriorated to the point that she felt a letter from the library attorney was in order to clarify the relationship. Tatiana also mentioned that the Friends of the Library and the Lisle Library Foundation had rather recently contributed funds to the Lisle Library for a special project in the children's section of the library. Tatiana outlined plans to revise the library website description of the Friends and expressed her concern that library employees were taking on responsibilities previously held by the Friends, and that there were used book sale donations still in a dedicated space in the renovated library. My background in nonprofit management led me to wonder how two organizations, apparently non-functioning, could recently have donated charitable funds to the library. It's easy to check the transparency of compliance with IRS and State of Illinois charitable organizations online, and in doing so, I found that the Friends has only one reporting year left. Charitable organizations get 3 years after non-reporting before the Friends loses its tax-exempt charitable status. By extension, the Lisle Library Foundation lost its charitable status in 2015 for non-reporting of its activities. Let me say that I did email a director at large of the Friends of the Library Board for whom I found an email address, and that was Kathy Kavasa. I could not contact Director Robert McCune or find information for board members Rose Sapita and Mike Chess, although in my email to Ms. Coswell, I offered to meet with the board and outline the issues the board confronts at present. I did receive an email response from an anonymous sender titled The Friends, thanking me for my attendance at past used book sales and saying that the Friends was in compliance with IRS and state reporting. In any case, this rather long-winded explanation of the serendipity that occasioned my renewed interest in the Friends of the Lisle Library, of which I may still be a member. It turns out that in conversation with Tatiana, I was told that she has a very old copy of the Friends of the Library bylaws, and that might very well clarify what membership in the organization really means. So what am I asking the Library District Board members? Well, I asked you as Library District Board members to reach out to current board members of the Friends of the Lisle Library whom you may know personally, and encourage them to relaunch the Friends of the Library at a community meeting in the near future. The deadline for a final tax-exempt charitable filing for the Friends with the IRS is May 2024. I ask that you direct your librarian to delay any administrative action to cut library ties with the Friends and then take on responsibilities of that library assistance group until it's decided if a relaunch of the Friends is possible. And finally, I ask that you consider directing your library staff to include a description of a Friends of the Library relaunch in your system-wide newsletter to encourage the participation of the community in membership and administration of the Friends of the Library. And finally, what about the used book sale? I would be remiss if I didn't address the future of the beloved used book sale. I'm not here to advocate for continuing the Friends used book sale. However, I know from personal experience that a used book sale is a much appreciated community-wide event. I also know how much volunteer work it takes to mount a successful used book sale. The entirely volunteer used book sale I chaired for the AAUW branch raised over $20,000 over 4 days for local college scholarships. It's a passion for book lovers to attend used book sales, and volunteers love book sorting. But it's a young person's volunteer activity, and that would be up to the board of directors for a reconstituted board of the Friends of the Lisle Library to organize and manage. There are many ways that a Friends of a Library charitable organization can benefit a library district and a community. Most libraries in DuPage County have either a Friends of the Library or a library foundation to support its mission and provide the community a way to demonstrate its thanks for what a library provides them. I'm here today in the hope that the Lisle Library District can hold on to the support of the Friends of the Lisle Library before it slips away. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
comment.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 3 acknowledges that Secretary Sullivan and Trustee Berry reviewed the September billings in October, and Trustee Larson and Trustee Martin will review the October billings in November. Agenda item number 4 is the consent agenda. Is there a trustee who wishes to pull something from the consent agenda?
No.
If not, may I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? Okay, Jackie, roll call please.
Emily Swistek,
Aye.
Karen Larson,
Aye.
Debbie Bryan,
Aye.
Vanessa Berry,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
and Joshua Martin.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 5 is unfinished business. 5A is capital improvement project monthly project status update. Mark, please update the board.
Of course, and I'm still here. So hopefully less
Can't
and
get
less, yeah. I don't mind being here, I'll say that much, but I'm sure you guys want this all finished up. So we did have a pretty big day. I know Assistant Director Savage stayed with me and the lighting crew late yesterday night to go through the lighting programming. So lighting programming essentially is complete. There were some tweaks that needed to be made, specifically in this room, making sure that meeting room A and B were properly, the light switches work properly. There was kind of a workaround that was put on so that the switches do work, across the dark room to get to the switch for the other side. That was corrected today. There's a little bit of still remaining light corrections, I'll call it. We want to make sure that the lights just outside of this room, the meeting room, are functioning properly in the dimming system. And then there's also a light, it's more of a warranty issue, not related to programming, but it was found, actually the electrician found it himself about 3 weeks ago when he was out here doing other things. Didn't really tell us about it because he was just going to take care of it and get it done, but there was a light out on the main entry. He had a new one shipped in, they put the plug in and it didn't work. This is as of yesterday. And I think I overheard Will saying that they talked today again when he was back out and it still doesn't work right now. So it's a warranty claim. You do have a year warranty on parts and labor and everything else, but then even the light fixtures themselves have an extended warranty depending on what the manufacturer's warranty is. They'll continue chasing that for you. Just heads up if you walk outside and you see one wing not lit for the Lisle Library side on the west side, that's why. So lighting's still going on, very small pieces. The south lighting repair was done, and that permit was closed out or is being closed out, so that's good. We got that addressed about 2 weeks ago, I want to say. The added scope items, the added outlet in the AS desk is installed. I walked by it and there's a quad in there today, so that's great. We're getting cabinet fronts. I know you guys had chased on it a couple weeks ago when the cabinet guy was here. Hopefully those are a couple weeks away. Fingers crossed, we'll see. Added end panels and tops should be this month. The last update we got about 4 weeks ago was that it was 2 to 3 weeks out. Emailed again, just waiting for a standby of when they're actually coming out with the parts and pieces. That's for the book holds area as well as for the upstairs area. Besides that, we have the lighting or the controls for the crush down pieces in this closet, basically back there. That controls the AV for these rooms. That still is Q4 2023. We're headed there quickly. Hopefully we see that come around. I do have another project that has a very similar issue, and they've been promised, and they were well after this one, they've been promised Q1 2024. So hopefully that means all those parts and pieces are actually coming in. Any questions on any incomplete work, other work that I can?
Is this typical, or is this just supply chain issues from before and all that with the pandemic and stuff? Or is
I'd
this
say the
typical
AV is not typical except for the supply chain issues.
Okay.
The lighting really was that too, because they didn't get the final parts and pieces for the lighting until 3 weeks ago. So that's supply chain. Some of the odds and ends, and usually 6 months later on, you're left with like 3-4 items.
Okay,
And we're about 3-4 items right now.
okay,
So,
thank you.
yep.
Did anyone else have any other questions for Mark right now? Okay.
Cost summary is fairly simple. It wasn't much of an update other than the payouts that went out to Camosi. We are still holding about $200,000 on Camosi for unfinished work. Camosi's line items within that, their scope of work is basically completed in there, but all the withholdings for other subs and that are still in there, and it amounts about $200,000. Other amounts that need to be paid, there's a little bit of professional service costs still budgeted for, and there's a little bit of FF&E, the final pieces, the tops and things like that still need to be paid for when it's there. But you can start to see, I've got about $111,000 left in contingency. I don't know if too much it would be dipping into that unless there's something else that's broken and needs to be addressed as part of the project budget that we find. So you can start pinning that number in as about 100K, maybe a little more than that, if actually at the end of the day will be left over in the budget. And I would think the board is going to leave that in capital improvements for the next, maintenance type long-term things that might happen or whatever you end up wanting. Really, there's just an invoice report at the end. As you can see, the 2 invoices were for CCS and for Camosi, and then there's no change orders, and we're not expecting any further change orders from Camosi. Any questions? It's getting short.
Anyone have any other questions for me?
Very straightforward. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Winding down, right?
Yes, hopefully for your sakes.
Thank you.
And Will's and Tatiana's.
Okay. Agenda item number 6 is committee reports. 6A is finance.
Not at this time, thank you.
Personnel and policy, that's me. We have a meeting scheduled for Thursday, October 26th at 7 p.m. The agenda will be prepared by the end of this week. So those of you on the committee will be looking for that email. Physical plants, 60 physical plant. Karen?
We have a meeting scheduled this coming Monday at 7 p.m.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, oh my gosh, why can I not speak? Agenda item 7 is staff reports. The director's report, 7A.
Okay, so my report mentions hosting the intergovernmental. We had it in this meeting. It was good for the library to host after a long period of time. And Will was introduced to the crew, so that was nice. All of the fire district, the school district got to meet Will in his new position, so that was nice. We're also looking forward to the chief of police hopefully attending the intergovernmentals and per the village's blessing, because in these meetings we talk about a lot of things, about events that happen in all of our districts, but also we talk about emergency procedures and things like that. So we're hoping that Chief Lisle will be a part of our group in the future. Makes sense. And moving on, as you all know, because you all attended, Fall Fest was a wonderful success. We had about 850 to 900 people. I know the event was 2 hours, but people came a half hour before and stayed a half hour after. And we used the counters. I think we ordered 600 churros, and they were gone within an hour and a half. So, I mean, it was just a wonderful event. We had so many positive comments. Lisle residents really liked having like a family-friendly event for all ages. That was no cost involved and something to do on a Friday night with the kids. It was just wonderful. So kudos to the staff. And if you haven't seen, around the library we've got the public monitors. They have pictures of everybody. As I was walking up, I saw Josh with his kids.
I saw you as I was walking out.
So those are nice, and they'll stay up until probably winter read, and then we'll have winter pictures. So yeah, they're really nice. And then moving on to Staff and Service Day, every year the library holds an in-service day for employees to train for emergencies such as tornado, fire, and code atom, power outages, and then we do some general in-charge training for staff. So we're looking forward to having a couple of speakers here. One, a police officer coming in, and then we have tentatively, upon your approval, a speaker scheduled to come in to talk about handling challenging situations in a public building. And then we always end up with a team building exercise, and we have staff who, we've got a circulation department, a technical services department, adult services. We mix staff up into other groups, so they work with people in other teams and do like a team building exercise at the end. So we're looking forward to that, and we thank the board in advance for your vote tonight. And then lastly, we just received the plaque, and this was in honor of the recently passed Mr. John Marshall, leader of the SIG group who meets here every month. And if you haven't seen the planter that the SIG group donated, they donated funds and then we chose a planter. It's made of lava stone, it's in the admin office, and then we'll fill the planter, we'll affix the plaque, and then we'll probably station it, I'm thinking, in the south entrance where there's a lot of light with the windows and things. But that, speaking of donations, this wonderful donation is great, but it also reminds us that we need to look at our donation policy because we want to make sure that we've got some guidelines for any future donations. So we'll be talking about that at the Personnel Policy Committee meeting, amongst other policies too, next week. And that's my report.
Question for you with the staff training, the in-service day. I don't know if everyone's aware of what code atom is. Could you speak to that, please?
Yes, that's when there's a missing child in the building. So we make announcements and staff train those announcements. We do like a little as if incident in the building while the library is closed, as if there was a child missing, and then we do the proper announcements for the public. You don't give the child's name out, you give a description, and then we have staff search for different areas of the building for the missing child.
Does anyone else have any other questions for the director?
Regarding the tentative police, or I guess public safety speaker, do any of the comments, or is there any opportunity for that public official or that subject matter expert to review and for the staff to then incorporate any feedback or continuing education learning into those emergency response policies, especially around like building security as threats develop and things change?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
so According to Chief Loco, I think Officer Dan Taylor is the
Mhm.
expert on the police force. We're looking for him to come, if not him, somebody else. And they do a presentation on threats to
Right.
public buildings, and then there's a Q&A with staff. And
Okay.
we would incorporate them into any of our procedures, yes.
Okay, good.
Any other questions for the director? Thank you, Director Weinstein.
You're welcome.
So 7B is the Assistant Director's report. Assistant Director Savage.
Thank you. So I listed a lot of my different meetings and such at the top there, but some of the highlights included I took part in an FBI webinar that discussed protocol for threats in public buildings, specifically mentioning a lot of higher education institutions, public education institutions, and then also public libraries. So I plan on using a lot of that information as we assess our current PIG manual and our current emergency procedures while we change them or adjust them for our new layout. So we'll be applying a lot of what I learned to that. I also attended a meeting hosted by HR Source about updating employee handbooks and making sure that we are compliant with not only federal but state laws as they change. And just making sure that we have an employee handbook that serves the library but also serves all of our employees adequately. And then with regards to the facility, Peeper has been out, as Mark mentioned, many times working on different lighting things and making sure everything is as it should be. They're coming out tomorrow morning to take a look at, as Mark mentioned, the outdoor lighting, but everything inside right now should be great. And I am going to be getting some training along with other staff on how we can remotely adjust the lighting throughout the building as well as needed. As Mark mentioned, there's dimmers in almost all of these, so we'll be able to adjust as needed throughout the entire building, which will be a great improvement. We had some plumbing issues up in the bathrooms over here. Stevens came up and helped us sort that out. And then Sendra has been in to assess and repair several HVAC issues. There were some failed sensors on both ends of the building that resulted in hot on one side and cold on the other. But that is all sorted out, and I am in the process of working with Sendra and then getting quotes from a few other vendors about making sure that the software that controls our HVAC is appropriately doing its job. So I'll have more on that in the future.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the Assistant Director?
Yeah, I have a question. Part of the hope of the renovation was that we would no longer have heating and air conditioning issues. So it's disappointing to me to hear that we're still having some.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about it? I mean, will we always have some, or?
Can I hand this off to you?
You can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The renovation did not include changing our software that runs the system. That was something we were going to include in our budget for this coming fiscal year, and we'll talk about it physical plant. So there were some duct work changes as part of the renovation, which did help circulation in certain areas of the building. That had to happen for the renovation, but the actual software, I don't know if you remember, but a couple of years ago, we tried to budget for it and we got an exorbitant amount. And in the past, while we were under renovation, we've been looking into quotes for more open source, not this proprietary software that costs upwards of thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. There's some open source software that I know Will's been talking to some vendors about that would be a more cost-effective solution for us. So it's the software that controls both sides of the building. The sensors here and there, they just go bad. They happen. It happens.
Okay.
At our physical plant meeting, we'll also be talking about the age of the compressors, the age of the air handlers, because way back when, I'm just going to throw out a date, but like in 2006, we replaced, let's say, 2 air handlers. And then in 2012, we replaced compressors. So there's like gaps between when we replaced equipment. So there's going to be that kind of gap replacement future for us because some are older and some are younger. So that's the best I can help to explain it.
What was the last one that we did? There was a couple
Air
handlers a couple years
The
ago,
last one we
right?
did was all 4 air handlers were replaced in 2019.
2019.
That's
So
what I
those
thought.
have been
Those,
good.
good.
It's just these sensors on the compressors, right, that have been
That's
frying?
one of them. Yeah, the last one was a sensor on this end that took the temperature of the supply air, so what air was coming in through the ducts to the rooms that had fried. So it recognized that it was cold outside and the boilers turned on and we're pushing hot air through this half of the building, but didn't know how hot the air was it was pushing in. So all it knew was that it's cold outside, we need to push hot air in. So it kept pushing hot air, pushing hot air, pushing hot air. The one on the west side was the opposite, where the sensor that's supposed to detect how cold the compressor gets fried itself, and so it shut the air handler off to protect the air handler, but then the compressor kept running because it thought it needed to cool everything, and without the cold coming off of the compressor froze over. So then that was frozen on that side of the building. But long story short, and this is what I thought, thank you for confirming, but a lot of the bigger ticket items weren't touched in the renovation. There was some ductwork that was done, and we'd done stuff like the air handlers were just done in
Right.
2019, so those have been
Yeah.
great. But like,
The software was
Director-
the big one that we didn't replace with the renovation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
And as Mark mentioned, we should have a surplus from our budget, and that can be used in our special reserve to pay for something like the software unless it's, the open source is exorbitantly cheap. We can go that way, but yeah, we'll investigate that.
okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for the Assistant Director? Okay, thank you. Okay, agenda item number 8 is new business. Item 8A is to approve the closing of the library for a staff in-service day. May I have a motion and a second? And then Director Weinstein can provide an explanation.
I move to approve the closure of the library building on November 17th, 2023 for a staff in-service development day.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Director Weinstein?
Yes, and just as I explained in my director's report, this is to close the library, it requires a board vote, and I explained what would happen during that meeting, and the library is closed for the entire day because all of the staff will be here.
Does anyone have any questions for the director? Any further discussion on the topic? Okay, Jackie, can you call the roll, please?
Yes, Emily Swistek,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Vanessa Berry,
Aye.
Joshua Martin,
Aye.
Karen Larson,
Aye.
Debbie Bryan.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Item 8B is to approve resolution 23-07. There is a typo in the agenda, so it's not 23-06, it's 23-07. You're welcome.
Wanna ask that one?
Resolution to determine estimate of funds. May I have a motion and a second?
I move to approve Resolution 23-07, a resolution to determine estimate of funds needed for the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
I'll second.
Second, Director Weinstein?
Sure. So this resolution is a not-to-exceed amount. It's calculated by the county. We receive a document that looks very much like this, and that number is directly on the resolution. It basically shows the public that we will not levy more than 5% of last year's levy extension. This is part of TIDA, or the Truth in Taxation Act. It just lets the public know that we would levy only up to 4.9999%, if that. And the PTEL, or the Property Tax Extension Limitation Law, has requirements if an entity were to go beyond that 5%. And we have never done that, we don't plan to do that, and we will be talking about the levy next month. This is just kind of a formality to let the public know we're not going above this amount.
Any questions for the director? Any additional discussion on the topic? Okay. Jackie, please call the roll.
Emily Swistek,
Aye.
Karen Larson,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Debbie Bryan,
Aye.
Joshua Martin,
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 8C is a statutory acknowledgement statement. The library acknowledges payment of earned/unused vacation time as required by the Illinois Wage Payment and Collection Act 820 ILCS 115/5 to be paid to Anjali Rentflesh in an amount not to exceed $1,274.41. And item 8D is another statutory acknowledgement statement. The library acknowledges payment of earned/unused vacation time as required by the Illinois Wage Payment and Collection Act 820 ILCS 115/5 to be paid to Rosary Ann Llewellyn in an amount not to exceed $4,177.13. Item 9 is opportunity for trustee comments, and I'm going to start with Lisle.
I really have nothing at this time. So,
Thank you. I will go over to Debbie Bryan.
Okay, well, I just want to say I loved reading the staff reports. Those were awesome, the quarterly reports that just, the amount of outreach that your staff does is just phenomenal. That just is great. I love to see where they are and what they do. It's just fantastic. The enthusiasm just shows in everything that they write, and they're great writers too. So that was just really, really wonderful. It just seems that there's just they're happy. Everybody seems very happy with their job. So you have created a really wonderful atmosphere. So congratulations to you and Will for doing that. That's just really terrific. And you know, you've handled some difficult situations this month, so thank you for doing that so gracefully. And Will, you do so much more in your job. I'm reading about sinks and all this, lights and all this. Is that what you went to library school for? Thank goodness. You know, you guys are really working hard here. Thank you all for just keeping this place running so smoothly. And everywhere I go, I hear how wonderful the library is, you know, just from everywhere. And I'm very proud to be part of this, so thank you.
Thank you. Vanessa Berry.
I don't have as much to say as Debbie, but I wanted to say that I really like that the youth services restarted started a new all-year reading program for the kids. So I know that's something that like we look forward to every summer and every winter, and now they're really excited for like, oh, what's coming next month? What can I read this month? So I think that was a great idea.
Thank you. Trustee Martin.
Yes, just one brief comment specifically on the intergovernmental group. And I was also pleased that it was held here and a little bit dismayed that the village was absent. But I hope that there is some pressure being exerted on them to participate in these sorts of organizations, because it is good to have large groups of multi-governmental officials from all of those agencies, and it's very heartening to see the school district, the park district. I did notice, and I know that we sometimes don't talk much about the school district 203, despite the fact that they do reside within our boundaries. But the most noticeable absence there was the village, and I hope that we are continuing to push them to participate whether they like it or not, and continuing to really just demonstrate through leadership at this level, at the library district, what real intergovernmental should look like. So that's my only comment in that regard.
Okay, thank you.
I kind of agree with you, Josh. They should have had a presence, but like Vanessa was saying, I was reading through the agenda and so many exciting programs and youth services. I was liking all the kids you seem to be getting more of the kids that are coming after school now, and that's kind of nice.
Great.
Good.
Okay.
That's about it.
Thank you. All right, I'll go last. Couple of things. One, the director mentioned Fall Fest, and I know that we were all here, we got to all enjoy it, but it really was a great night, and the weather was great, and just really nice to see so many people out. And I think it started at 5, right? And I got here at 5:05, and I was already parking across the street at St. Joan because it was already packed, and just really a great event. So kudos again for that. At that night, when we were here, I came in with my 6th grade son, and we saw I think it was Miss Emily and Mrs. Solder were sitting at a table, and they had information about a new middle grades book club.
Yes.
It was for grades 4 through 8, which was really exciting. And so we picked up that information, and my son was really excited about it and signed him up for it. And the first one is not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, and he's really looking forward to that. So I was really excited to see a book club targeted to that age group. So it's really exciting to see programming with youth services, which is exciting. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and it was here in my head and it went away. One of the things, if you haven't done it yet, I tend not to, when I come in, I know where I want to go. I go to those specific places. I get what I want, and then I leave. And I was here, I don't remember when it was, a week or so ago, and I was here with my youngest son again, and we were walking around, and he said, "Can we go upstairs?" I was like, "Sure," like all the way upstairs. So we went upstairs, and we went into the periodical section. And if you haven't been up there and really like seen how many different periodicals are there, so many different topics and options for things that you can read, and he picked up this woodworking magazine, and then he partially like laid on the couch up there and read this magazine for like a half hour. And it was just really neat to see that like we have these periodicals available for the public to come in and use, and even 11-year-olds are going to be enjoying doing that as well. So just another plug for going to different parts of the library if you don't typically go to them.
It's a nice space up
It is a really nice space up there. There was a high school student up there studying as well. I mean, it's just nice to kind of explore the different kind of like nooks and crannies of the new floor plan, right? Layout. So anyway, so that's it for me. Thanks for making my running of the meeting painless. Appreciate it. Last item on the agenda is to adjourn. Someone else has to do it because I can't.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned at 7:37.